hello, and welcome back to Call Your Coven Practical Advice for Nonsensical Times. Woo!
That subtitle, B, that you came up with
Mhm.
continues to be more and more relevant.
We just keep underlining it like in the it's like
Nonsensical,
nonsensical,
nonsensical.
completely bullshit. Like,
Yes.
yeah,
Well, I'm B. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm
yeah.
your resident numerologist.
I'm Gina. My pronouns are also she, her, and I am your resident astrologer.
And I'm Meg. My pronouns are she, they, and I am the resident tarot reader.
And that tagline, yeah, we've had it since 2024. Is
Jesus.
that
Yeah,
right?
when we
Yeah.
started,
August, September.
August 2024. Is that right?
August or September. I think honestly, we tried to get it together for August and it did not happen. So I think
Yeah,
we
I feel
launched
like we
in September.
recorded for August, and then we were like, no, we still gotta workshop this. Like we were still figuring out the format and everything. So, yeah, I think September
Yes,
was the official, actual public
launch
launch.
date. Yeah. So we've had it since September or August of 2024 and it truly the times have only gotten more nonsensical.
Truly.
And it was also a weird prediction that I didn't know I was making, which, if you listen to our last conversation, we put out in January a conversation on the ethics of prediction because
Mhm.
we realized that we've been around for a second. And so we might have some new friends and witches in the coven. So, hello, hello. What we try to do here is to offer monthly forecasts that blend numerology, astrology, and tarot so that you can get a really solid spiritual modality overview of the month ahead, what kind of energies are coming at you, and then, of course, as the tagline says, practical advice for how to navigate these moments, these nonsensical times. So, we're happy you're here. Thanks for sticking with us or thanks for joining us. Did I miss anything about what we do? Then we talk, we gab.
We also
Yeah,
chat.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
we're also
talk, we
friends.
gab. We kind of each do a monthly overview of our modality, and then on the back half of the episode, we get into specific buckets for forecasts for the astrology, numerology, tarot, as they have to do specifically with finances, home, love, and health. So yeah, like B said, practical advice.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I want to say too that we're really focused on trying to help you use this in your daily actual life, not in a theoretical way, but in a realistic way. It's okay if you're not a professional level numerologist, astrologer, or tarot reader. That's okay. That's what we're here to do. We're here to
Mhm.
kind of translate what we have received and what we are observing and give it to you in a way that is really accessible and able. God, I haven't slept. Able to be utilized in a way that I'm the resident severe insomniac, and I have been awake since 2 a.m., which is terrible. So I'm just hanging on for dear life here, and I should not be trying to summarize anything. But we really do try
You're
to
doing
give
great.
you advice that you can use in your daily life, not just in a theoretical way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Meg has chronic reasons to not sleep. I have stupid reasons to not sleep. I decided when my dog went out at 4:30 that that was the right time to pick back up a book that I was reading because I was like, I'll
Hey.
fall asleep. I know. But it's okay because it was Rachel Reed. And so if you are on the Heated Rivalry Hockey Brain Rot and on our Patreon, we actually just recorded a new unhinged chat for you
hmm
in which I do talk about this Rachel Reed book that I stayed up all night reading, apparently.
Choices were made.
Choices were made.
Mhm.
So we have our podcast here, but we also have a Patreon. There's just one supportive tier. It's $5 a month if you want to support what we're doing here. And this year we're going to start tossing some perks and additional thank yous and content towards our Patreon. So we are going to release. We said it was going to be like 10 to 15 minutes, and it was a solid 35.
Yeah.
So
So you can probably count on them always being slightly longer than we think because we like to talk to each other and we like to talk about things that we like. And those are going to be astrology, tarot, and numerology adjacent, but also just about, queer shit we like, hockey smut apparently, or like whatever else we're into and we want to talk about or that you want us to talk about. So yeah,
yeah.
make it fun.
We'll
We're
make it
also
nice.
Make it nice.
we
Make it nice.
make it nice.
Sorry. Also, for people who are new here, Meg and I are married, so
Yeah.
occasionally the married bits just
Sorry.
come out
They
on the
just spill
podcast,
out
and
into the world.
yeah, like
That was a
and
Dorinda Medley reference, no?
What?
The make it nice? Was
Yeah.
that okay?
Yeah, but it's also just a thing that we say to each other. Like,
Copy you.
you know,
I was like,
like
I'm not married to either of them, but I understand.
you're kind of an adjacent wife, let's be real.
yeah, you're kind of like an
You're
unofficial
not one of our
third,
wives.
our
Thank you.
cross country long distance,
Yeah.
like professional partner who
Yeah.
yeah.
If you want to be in a
Contracts
low
together.
maintenance throuple, find yourself someone who lives across the country.
Find yourself a bonus set of wives that live in a different time zone.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're also all practitioners, writers, professionals in our own right. So at the top, we've just been trying to toss you some opportunities to work with us for the month. So my big thing in February is that it's never too late to start your year, to start 2026. And in some ways, Gina's going to get into, we're going to have a lunar new year in February. The zodiacal new year isn't until March. So you have time. And I have a workshop available. It's an 80-minute replay of a live that happened in January, but the information is honestly evergreen for 2026, but also we go over personal monthly cycles, yearly cycles, how to calculate those, how to drop into the energy of the year you're having, and then, of course, numerological information about 2026, a 10-1 year. So that's called Throwing Clay on the Wheel year. It is on my Gumroad shop, but you can also find it through my website. And like I said, it's 80-minute replay. You get the slides, you get something else. A transcript. I don't know. I don't know what you get. And then it has a little surprise when you download it. And then it has a little partner in a PDF that's called 52 Weeks. It's numerological food for thought for every week in a year. That's also evergreen. It has 52 entries. You can pick it up, put it down, whenever you need to. It's only $10 for the PDF because it is writing that I did on my Substack last year. And yeah, that's it for me in February.
In February, the third cohort of The Grove is going to open for registration. There will be more details on that forthcoming. The link will be in show notes. But Meg and I run a 6-month container called The Grove. It is essentially a spiritual group of other writers and artists to build community with and support each other through the seasons of the year. And yeah, third cohort opens for registration this month and will kick off officially in March. So check that out.
It's a really beautiful space. It's been a real joy to run that together, and we've had some really wonderful people participate. So please join us if that's something that you're interested in, if you're an artist who's interested in creative devotion. I am running it starts on February 6th, so you still have time to sign up, but I am running a 10-week grief container using tarot and journaling and community to explore grief, and not just personal grief, but actually collective grief. If you are having a really hard time right now, everyone I know is having a hard time, but if you were feeling particularly underwater, if you were feeling really lonely in your grief for the world, if you were feeling kind of paralyzed by your grief, I'm running this program called River Styx. It is based on a 10-week or 10-step, I should say, framework that was developed by the founders of the Good Grief Network. I trained in this programming facilitation work a couple of years ago, actually, in 2024 as well. And I'm finally putting this really big, beautiful labor of love together and launching it on February 6th. So if grief is something that you want to dive into, if you could use some community support around it, if you want to learn how to use tarot and journaling for diving into your grief and learning to transmute it into actual meaningful actions, you can show up in your life the way you want to, please check that out. And we'll have the link in the show notes for you.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And I'm a little biased, but I did do a shorter grief container of Meg's at the end of last year, and it was so beautiful and so supportive. And there were many opportunities to be in community, but then no timeline on the work at all. And I found that to be really lovely to have that option. So if that's on your mind or heart, I would definitely recommend.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm honking outside, so I'm going to
Well, the
mute myself.
car, New York City agrees with me, obviously. Okay, February 2026. I know we have a lot to say about it. So let's dig into the numerology. The numerology is actually kind of interesting for this month, and I like it a lot. Um, we are in February is the second month of the year, so we're always in two energy when we're talking about February. But in a 10-1 year, we're looking at 12 or 3 energy overall. And 2 and 3 are a very interesting couplet of numbers, a transition. And I'll talk about this a little bit more when we get into our cauldrons later. But 2 is more of a silent, like emotional number. And 3 is kind of a messy loudmouth saying what's on the top of the head, like the energy of just speaking the first thought that comes to mind, versus 2, which can be kind of more quiet and contemplative and thoughtful. So we're already kind of in this interesting crux. And when I thought about the month, a phrase came through like blaring, and the phrase is loosen the fuck up. So before we get into what that means,
Love
I
it.
just want everybody listening to just like shake it out a little bit, whether that's like shaking your hands, rolling your wrists. Yes, everyone looks so good doing this. Okay, great. Because loosen up like is quite literal this month. This does not mean it's not coming through in a way that's like you need to let it go or you need to get over something or you have to be chill about whatever it is that you're stressed about or you have to like let people cross your boundaries. That's definitely not what loosen the fuck up means. It means that we don't need to hold so tightly to whatever is in our clammy little hands at the moment. And actually, I know, gross. And the metaphor that came through is kind of a wild one. So stick with me, but I also want to put just a little content warning on this metaphor. But what came through is the idea that, ironically, in drunk driving crashes, sometimes the drunk driver is less injured in the wreck because the body doesn't actually brace for that impact. And therefore, it is more fluid. And so it takes less of a hit.
Mm.
And that is the feeling of loosen the fuck up. Is like we are holding on to so much in our bodies. We have experienced so much personally and collectively. And now there is a full ass cup inside of us that we feel like, okay, we have to hold on really tightly to all of our experiences. We have to hold on really tightly to ourselves. It really is that idea of bracing for impact. And actually, the message of February is like 3 is messy. It is the eruption of the volcano. It is the surge of childbirth. And we are living in fiery, bloody, volatile times. We just are. So the world that we want to build and the world that we are living in right now both require a flexibility and a like ease of movement and really a movement. We want to move towards where there is warmth, where there is ingenuity, where there is creativity. We want to be thinking about creative solutions and also how we can make the most of the circumstances that we're in, you know, how we can get like live in messy times, but kind of maintain our flexibility, but also our focus. And 3 energy is effusive and sly. It is the trickster. I wrote that slippery slickster. Like there's this kind of um slick quality to this energy. And I see tricksters out there in the public sphere being messy, but pretending to be a different archetype than the trickster. So I just want everybody to be really clear that the tricksters are out and they're saying shit, and that this is a month that's going to require our flexibility, our discernment, and a really interesting way. And this is actually my practical advice for February is to use and think about humor as a tool. So one thing that I'm doing in this 1 year, and it has to do with I'm in a personal 6 year. So I want to be in relationship with someone for the entire year. And the figure that has stepped forward for me is Oscar Wilde. And I'm going to write more about this as the year goes on. But I've already started his collected works. And in the introduction, yeah, I'm very excited to spend the whole year with Oscar, and a
So
lot is already
fun.
coming through for me.
Mm.
But what I want to offer us for February and humor, Wilde actually says that for human significance to be generated, so for us to make meaning out of things, pleasure and humor give the truest mirror. Paradox, riddle, the joke, and humor at many levels will enter the picture here because these cognitive devices are the mind's mechanism for simultaneously seeing more than one side to any question. So if we're in 2 and 3 energy, here we have a joke, 3, is an instantaneous perception of the doubleness,
Mm.
2, the doubling involved in all perceptions that rise to the level of those complex conditions life actually presents to the thinking mind. So, humor as a tool, humor as a way in, humor as a way to hold many conflicting things at the same time. I will say more about this in the cauldrons, but I think humor really kind of is our greatest ally this month, even if that is just, like I said, making the best out of really shitty circumstances and figuring out a way to joke. It's not, humor is not denial. It actually is the truest mirror. And it's just tricking the mind into holding many disparate parts at the same time. I will leave it there.
I think that is a beautiful transition into the astrology because the medicine you're proposing, the humor and letting humor hold it, is very, I think, something for folks to keep in the back of their mind as I talk about the astro. Also, there's a lot of overlap with like different metaphors that we're using for the month, which I think is very cool. And yet again, are we witches? The one thing I want to note though is Oscar Wilde, and you can hear all of this energy in that quote that you read. That's so beautiful. But like he's very famously a Libra, but I think people forget that he's one of the few 19th century writers who we actually have an A-rated, like an A Rodden rating for his birth time. And Oscar Wilde's a Virgo rising. This man was Mercury ruled. His Mercury was in Scorpio. Like
No
so
shit.
no
Sorry.
Meg being like he
Say
obviously.
less.
Yeah, no. So I think that that's also like in the sense to be that like I don't know if you purposefully picked him as like a mercurial representative, but like literally being a son of Mercury, I think that energy is just like so fitting and on the nose.
I will say he chose me very
Mhm.
clearly. Last year, sometime, I found the collected works in a little free
Mm.
library and it's been on my shelf. And when this idea of spending 1 year, like a year with someone came through, it was like
Mm.
very much in tandem with like,
That's
and this is
beautiful.
who it
I
will
love
be. And
this.
also, the magician card, which we're in a
Mhm.
1 year in. So the magician card in the game Marseille is wearing a green carnation. So that also felt like I've,
That's beautiful.
yeah. And he's a double 8 public persona and life path.
Sure.
Sure.
And I'm on an 8 life path. So I think
Hmm.
that's
That's
interesting. But the
gorgeous.
Mercury of it all, I'm so
Hmm.
glad you said this because I don't know where this fits in the constellation of what we're talking about. But one
Very
thing that I've
prominently, as I'll get into soon, but say what you're gonna say.
but I feel that Oscar Wilde is also a tragic figure in that
Mhm.
he really did expect the society that he entertained to come to his aid, and
Hmm.
they did not. And in fact,
Yeah.
he died in exile and had a really hard second half of his life. And that's a little like the Patreon heated rivalry, will the NHL be less homophobic now,
Yeah.
conversation that we put on Patreon. But I just really see, yeah, he's an interesting figure to think about
Yeah.
right now, as
Hmm.
well as someone who was imprisoned for homosexuality and who really did try and give to a society that just did not have his back in the end.
I
Yeah.
mean, I know we've got to get into the astrology, but I do think there is
We
something
don't.
there. No, we do. There's so much astrology, but no, I think there is something there about like the truth tellers, the mirror holders, the people who are both unafraid to speak the truth in ways that can be heard, like humor, but also the people who are unafraid to live their truth and to be themselves is so activating for people who are either
Hmm.
working really hard to avoid or suppress the truth, or people who are not living their truth for any number of reasons. It activates so much anger, so much response. It can activate grief in people. Like there is such a strong reaction that people have to that. It's a really polarizing energy. And I think Mercury has some of that energy, is like, because Mercury's gonna play tricks on you. Mercury's gonna tell you what you don't want to hear. Mercury's gonna pull you into places that you don't understand why you're there. Um, so I don't know. I don't have like a neat button for that, but it does all feel very swirly and overlapping in ways that I just think are really fucking cool. I love that you shared this. I'm so
I do
excited. I
too.
love this quote. I love all
Yay.
of this. So
And
Yeah.
I have a neat button for it in my astrology of the month because y'all,
Let's go.
listen, I'm not gonna lie, like February, keep the humor at the forefront because February really does have some of the most volatile astrology of the year. And the good news is that forewarned is forearmed. I will repeat myself, which I say every month. Astrology is the weather forecast. It's like, I'm just going to tell you what the conditions are, and then you get to decide if you want to bring an umbrella or stay in or go out or what have you. But my high level practical advice before I get into the nitty gritty is to schedule your peace because, as the saying goes, your pain will schedule itself. Take whatever is unnecessary off your calendar. If you're going to take big swings, make sure that you're moving. There's volatile astrology this month, but like sometimes life doesn't wait. So if you're going to take a big swing, if you're planning to start something or launch something or make a big change, just make sure that you're moving from a place of like deeply rooted values that you would be unshakable in no matter the astro weather. Like, I'm not going to tell you not to start something this month if it's something that you would be 10 toes down for at any time. But this moment, really collectively and also astrologically, is calling us to clarify our values and show up from a place of deep integrity. So, the reason for that headlining advice is that February holds the first eclipse season of the year, as well as the first Mercury retrograde of the year. Plus,
Already?
Saturn. It's in my year ahead readings, which I am now thankfully all done with. I pretty much February is just the roughest astrology of the year. Is my hot take. Collect like just in terms of things stacking on each other. Plus, Saturn moves into Aries for good on February 13th, and so which Neptune moved back into Aries for good at the end of January. So like we have the planets collectively, all the outers heading back into air and fire signs. It will speed things up. Last summer was our preview for what the world looks like with Saturn and Neptune out of Pisces and in Aries, and the pace sure is gonna pick the fuck up. But the energy, and this is the thing, come mid month, the energy is very much that horrible tech maxim move fast and break things because eclipse season brings drastic change on a collective level. Mercury retrograde, which comes more at the end of the month, means that miscommunication and disinformation campaigns are not a question of if, but when. So the medicine is to not only be mindful when sharing or reposting news on social, but also to be plugged in with your local neighborhood and community networks that you know and trust so that you are getting reports and news directly from people on the ground. It's also a great time, including during Mercury retrograde, to like reevaluate our news sources and our relationship to information. It's a great time to follow and support independent journalists like Marisa Kabas. I'll link all of these people in the show notes. Even ex-corporate folks who have gone indie, like Don Lemon, who low-key has been doing some of the most incredible on-the-ground reporting in Minnesota, like night and day. It feels like witnessing him vis-a-vis his corporate persona. Anyway, we'll link our favorite indie journalists in the show notes. And for those in the US, also remember that our algorithms and news are increasingly isolated and cut off from the rest of the world, which I really think that Mercury retrograde will highlight, possibly to the benefit of the people, frankly. But I think that there'll be a lot happening with that at the end of the month. So just like putting Al Jazeera, even the BBC, foreign news organizations that have their own issues, but that are not reporting from a US centric lens, keeping those in your rotation, and also local papers like in Minneapolis, the Star Tribune is the local paper. So just that will help mitigate the algorithm vortex and is a very practical way to combat Mercury retrograde algorithm mania. Eclipse season officially begins on February 17th with an annular, solar, or a new moon eclipse in Aquarius. So the nodes are changing signs this year, and so we have a mixed set of eclipses on both ends. So there are always 2 eclipse seasons every year. They're roughly 6 months apart, and usually they're all happening between 2 signs that are opposite on the same axis. So for the last few years, we've had Virgo Pisces eclipses exclusively. This year, the Leo Aquarius axis starts to get involved in that mix. So the first eclipse is in Aquarius on February 17th. The second eclipse in this particular pair up front, which is the Virgo eclipse, isn't going to come until March. But since the Aquarius eclipse mid-month is co-present with Pluto and will also square Uranus in the last degrees of Taurus, I am fully expecting eclipse season to arrive with a bang. I never want to fearmonger. I never want to introduce more anxiety into the lives of people who are already dealing with icy conditions, frankly. But if you are involved in resistance work, like, be extra, extra mindful, extra prepared come mid-month. Again, forewarned is forearmed. Sorry, I grew up in a military family. That's like our default saying. And the astrology is, it's a weather forecast, and this month is hurricane season, to be quite frank. So we are just hunkering down, preparing, boots on the ground. A few days after the eclipse, on February 20th, Saturn joins Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries, which makes this moment especially significant for how it is inaugurating a new historical period. Again, we got a preview of this last summer, but this is the one that's like setting it. It's like, and the foundation is laid. So it makes it especially significant. I would expect this to show up more on a collective level, honestly, than individually. Although if you were someone who was born, around or during an equinox or solstice, basically if you have 0 degree personal planets or placements in Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, you may be getting hit with this a little more. Again, I said there was a lot of astrology, and Lord above there is. We got some more to go. A little more than a week after the eclipse and the Saturn-Neptune moment, either of which would be significant on its own, and they're in the same fucking week, we have a Mars-Uranus square on February 27th, and I would be remiss if I did not note that hard aspects between Mars, which is action, and Uranus, which is disruption, tend to correlate to increased incidents of violence on a public scale in the United States. With our news and our gun culture, it especially tends to look like an increased news coverage of gun violence, especially. So again, forewarned is literally forearmed. This Mars-Uranus square comes during an already volatile eclipse season and Mercury retrograde on top. So it's just a lot of weather going on at once. It's like getting a bomb cyclone and her hurricane and a tornado. It's just a lot of things converging this month, collectively speaking, which I also don't think anyone needs the astrology to affirm that stuff sure does feel like it is converging collectively. But to get into the Mercury retrograde piece, which I think dovetails really well with what Bee was saying about the trickster stuff, Mercury retrograde itself begins on February 26th. And Mercury retrograde, again, it's not an inherently malefic experience. It's very much true neutral. And Mercury retrograde can absolutely be deployed to the use of resistance work, like booking car rentals with the companies that are renting out vehicles to the Goon Squad, messing with their logistics. Like, Mercury retrograde just doesn't have to just act upon us. Mercury is also a trickster and will happily work with whoever is bringing mischief and fun to the party. So if you're showing up with a mischievous attitude, baby, like, revel in your success. It is already here. on a slightly less joyful note, last but not least, again, I know the astrology is so much. I do want to note that the Mars Uranus square on February 27th is also something to pay attention to because it is thematically and literally foreshadowing the coming Mars Uranus conjunction, which literally arrives on July 4th this year. So I'm not gonna lie, I am paying I have a
Sure.
lot of thoughts about the Mars Uranus cycle right now and how it pertains to the United States, which is where we all live, where we were all born and raised. Which is why it's a U.S. centric forecast at Call Your Coven because we fucking live here. But yeah, I'm paying attention to it. I'm obviously praying the most mitigation, and I pray that Mercury retrograde is a tremendous mitigation, frankly, to the severity, like that the levity and lightness and trickster energy, humor, what B was saying, that really can alleviate some pressure. And like in keeping ourselves loose, as it were, it helps us to not take as direct of body hits. That is the astrology of February. And as a PS, if you're like, Gina, you didn't talk about the full moon, listen, I need you to know that if I talked about every single fucking astrological thing happening this month, we would be here for 2 hours. And also,
Mhm.
I would be the entire forecast. And as much as I do like to hear myself talk, none of us want that. So, if you want other astrology events of the month, subscribe to my newsletter.
Mhm. It's
But
real
that
good.
is, but there's just a lot that it's very significant and it's very connected, both thematically and also literally in the astro cycles. So, like, yeah, that's the astrology. TLDR, schedule your piece.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, it does make me feel better about my drunk driving crash metaphor. I was like, oh yeah, that feels, yeah.
Yeah, you said that, B, and I was like, oh man, I'm bringing the heat over here. I'm not even bringing the heat. I'm just reporting the heat.
You're reporting
Like,
the heat.
I'm reporting, like, I don't know. And the thing is, again, I'm very practically oriented. This
Hmm.
is just a weather forecast. How it shows up for you individually is going to be very different if you live in Minneapolis versus New York versus upstate New York versus like Northern California. Like all of these are, again, context, your literal environment, your literal community. Be like everything is not the same to all people at all times. And so we're just taking the weather and being mindful.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so for the newbies, for the people who are just joining us, welcome, hello. I'm going to say some metaphors, and if I'm wrong, please correct me before I continue. But I would say if the numerology is like anchoring where we are in the broader cycle and story, and the astrology is giving the weather forecast, the tarot is here to kind of offer you a little bit of medicine and advice for how to navigate those things on a collective level. This is not about predictions or forecasts. If you want to know more about what we all think about predictions and forecasts, we recorded a really juicy episode that I'm honestly really proud of. I think it's one of my favorite conversations we've had
Same.
last month. You can read that. You can read it. Oh boy, this is going to be a moment for me to get through this my own fucking notes.
Because you have been awake since 2 a.m.
Nobody should have been awake this long, but here I am anyway. But yeah, I just want to say listen to that episode, but in general, I don't pull cards predictively. This is not me telling you what's going to happen. This is me giving you some medicine and offering some advice and insights for how to navigate the astro weather and the part of the cycle and story that we are in collectively. So, first, I pulled a theme card for us. This is just kind of general vibes and advice and things to be aware of as we move into February. And wouldn't you know, I pulled the King of Wands, which I think is just a beautiful companion to what you both have already said. The big phrase that came forward is no excuses, play like a champion. It's just like it felt very like just do the damn thing already, which I do like as like a companion to this kind of like loosen the fuck up and like schedule your piece. I think it's like a nice kind of third phrase to integrate in here. Because what I really was thinking of, what just really was coming forward, is this kind of sense of like, if you've been making a lot of excuses for why you can't do something, why you can't show up, why you can't be consistent, why you can't do the thing, right? If you've been feeling galvanized to action, but kind of fussing about not knowing exactly what to do or not feeling like You have a guarantee that what you do is going to make this huge dramatic difference. If you've been procrastinating or waiting for someone else to step up and fix the problem, for someone else to sweep into your life and take you by the hand and gently guide you to a perfect volunteer opportunity, cut it the fuck out, okay? February is the moment for you to get up and just try something. Try anything, okay? Nothing is certain. I've been making reels about this all week, so this card that I pulled a couple of hours ago before we recorded this feels extra loud, but nothing is certain. We cannot predict the future. We do not know what is going to work. We have some theories, we have some history, we have some pattern recognition. Nothing is certain, which means that nothing is certain. That can be a bad thing, I guess, but it can also be a good thing. It means anything could work, but you gotta try. Right? We're not going to know what's going to be effective unless we try. And if we all are trying things, we're going to figure out what works faster than if only people who have the resilience, like patterning and capacity for dealing with discomfort are trying. It's going to just take longer. So we all got to try things. Stop waiting for the right moment or for some perfect opportunity to fall into your lap and just take the big swing. Like Bea said, loosen the fuck up, see what happens. And like Jeanna said, when you take those big swings, make sure they are aligned with your values. The King of Wands knows what they're doing, but they're not wasting their time just lighting fires and running away, right? This is not about chaos for chaos's sake. This is about having the courage of your convictions and using those convictions to drive you into showing up in a way that might work, but is always going to be brimming with potential. I see kings as change makers. And so in the suit of wands and fire, these are changes that inspire, that motivate, that energize, and that transform. So as a theme for the month, I want you to consider what kind of impact might you make if you stop waiting for the conditions to be perfect? Because bless, the conditions are never going to be perfect, and they're probably just going to stay like this for a minute, right? How would you show up if you weren't always bracing for impact or obsessing over potential failure? In other words, what are you on fire for already? And how can you put all of that heat and energy into real, meaningful, intentional action? Okay. The next card is the truth card. I like to pull a truth card and a dare card. So our truth is kind of an internal challenge, a question to sit with, or something to really investigate internally. And I pulled the 10 of Pentacles, which I think is real cute, honestly. We're in a 10 year, so this is kind of holding that same energy. With the 10 of Pentacles, what came forward is the reality is that you do have more everyday practical resources than you might even realize. You are supported. You have been working hard. You are in a place of both satisfaction and potential simultaneously, right? Both of these things can be true at the same time. So what can you make with what you already have? What can you do with what you already have? What can you build with what you already have? And what are you shifting your attention to as we move into this new month and as we really settle into this new 10 year? As a truth card, the 10 of Pentacles asks, what resources are you underutilizing? And how might they actually be exactly what you need to support yourself and your community this month? Which webs of connection and support and encouragement or insight can you tap more fully into with intention? And also, just practically speaking, how are you caring for your neighbors? And how are your neighbors caring for you? And what would it look like to let that be a thing that actually does galvanize you and support you as you move into a new cycle of care and attention? Lastly, I pulled the dare card. Dares are always fun. This is lighting a fire up your ass, daring you to do something, taking a chance, taking a risk, making a big swing, right? And I pulled another fire card. I pulled the 6 of Wands for us. Which I love the 6 of Wands. The 6 of Wands is also my personal card for February, so I was excited to see this one show up. But what came up for me is it's possible that you've been moving through something of a crucible. And obviously, collectively, we are certainly doing that, but also you might have been moving through something personally that felt really challenging, or where conflict was kind of at the center, or just where you had this kind of refining fire moment of transformation or transition, right? You might have been experiencing some changes, pushing through some difficult moments, etc. The 6 of Wands is the energy on the other side of that shift. And so this is often seen as a card of pride and celebration, but also of being witnessed and really allowing ourselves to own what we have accomplished. The thing is, though, depending on who you are and what you've been going through, you might have been keeping this kind of to yourself. You might have been minimizing it. You might have been keeping it really private or really small. And that's okay. You know, not everything has to be for everyone. But this month, I dare you, however this might look for you, to own your wins. I dare you to let other people see what you're working on and see how you've changed in the process of working on that thing. I dare you to honor the milestones that you are experiencing, even if you're not finished or even if everything's not perfect. And I dare you to keep going. I dare you to keep trying. I dare you to keep experimenting, right? Remember that King of Wands energy is our theme for the month, and keep pushing yourself to see how far you can actually go when you try consistently. What are you equipped to do right now that younger versions of you would not have dared to try? That's what I got. That's the sermon.
That is so, I think, so resonant and so powerful. I don't know, when you were talking about the Ten of Pentacles and showing up for neighbors, Meg, I was thinking about, and again, on the subject of like reels we've made recently, but like I was recently talking about something that many other people have talked about, which is that community is not friendship.
Yeah.
And the way in which like you can be annoyed by other people. You don't have to be friends, but it
Mhm.
doesn't mean you don't show up. It doesn't mean, like, I don't know. I think that that conflation of friendship with community is a very common thing. And like
Mhm.
when people say they want more community, I'm like, you probably mean you want more friends, which is also like
Yeah.
very real and very good and obviously necessary for like happiness in life and a lot of other things. But I'm like, I don't know. I want to like I'm feeling so sensitive to that distinction lately because a
Mhm.
lot of people are like telling me that they're like, "Oh yeah, I was super conflating those." And it's like they're different. Our
Yeah.
neighbor lady annoys the shit out of me.
She does,
But
and that's what I was gonna say. Like, our neighbor does not like us because I feed the birds, and she's mad that I feed the birds because then it means there's birds there that have eaten and they shit around her, and she doesn't like it. We used to be
Mhm.
friendly, and now she's mad at me because I feed the birds. But the thing is, I know what she looks like. I smile at her every time I see her in the goddamn neighborhood, and I pay attention to what she's doing. When
Yeah.
something's up, I don't think she lives with anyone else. I think she lives alone, and I
Mm.
keep an eye on her. I don't like her very much because she's mean to us, but I make sure she's alive. Like,
Yeah.
I make sure that her steps are like have salt on them. You know what I mean? I make sure that she's moving her trash in and out. And when there was
Yeah.
some creepy guy yelling in our alley the other day that was clearly drunk or something, and I saw that she was talking to him, I stood there and made sure she could see me watching them in case
Yeah.
she needed help, right? Like, I don't have to be friends with this lady. I'm not going to. I've tried to repair that relationship by not feeding the birds, and it didn't work, so I fed the birds anyway. But just to say, you don't have to like the people around you to still be in community with them and showing up for them and making sure they're safe. And that's why what we're seeing in places like Minneapolis is so powerful.
Yeah.
All those people aren't friends, but they sure are showing up to keep each other safe. And that's what community actually is.
This is silly.
Everybody
Also,
can talk.
when Meg was talking about like the King of Wands as like this like deeply rooted in values and not just lighting fires and going and running away, I was like, oh no, that's what the Knight of Wands does.
Yeah,
The Knight
100.
of Wands is an arsonist.
Yeah,
Like,
Like a
100%.
trash can
Yeah,
arsonist.
like throwing Molotov cocktails. Like, the Knight of Wands is chaos. Is bold chaos. And
yeah.
listen, sometimes we need that energy too.
But that's not the card that came up this month.
That's not what
King
we're
of
seeing
Wands.
here. No.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The king is not trying to end the night in
No.
jail. Like,
Yeah. The king intentionally gets arrested. The
Yeah.
king goes with
The
the
king,
intention
yes.
of like
The
that.
king has a speech prepared for when they are filmed getting
Mhm.
arrested. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the kind of bold action we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that it has to look exactly like that. I've never been arrested,
And
with a
I
speech
also
in
want
there.
to affirm because like yeah, Meg and I don't know, like I used to go to a lot of protests, but
Mhm.
it's not I've fallen away from doing it post COVID and well, that's not entirely true. In like 2020 and 2021 I was going to a lot. But
Yeah.
like I these last few years since my health crises, I have not really gone to any. But and so I also want to affirm that like even though I think sometimes we can use examples and I'm so guilty of doing this of like the kind of like front lines kind of stuff, there is so much work to be done spiritually, like on behalf of like neighbors, community, beloveds, people who you share affinity through identity in a variety of ways with. Like there are so many ways to do spiritual protection work, defensive work, um, Yeah. So just to affirm, like that's also we saw a TikTok the other day of like this funny dude who is a D&D guy, but like he was doing your what was it, Meg? You're the one who
So he's
sent
a
it to
trauma
me.
expert. I actually just reshared it on, I followed him
Oh,
on
it's not.
Instagram and I
Got it.
just
Okay.
reshared it on my Instagram. So if you follow me or if you want to follow me or if you just want to find me, I'm 3am.tarot at Instagram. But I retweeted, reshared, whatever the new fucking
Yeah.
thing is on Instagram. I don't know, but you can find it on my profile at least. But yeah, he's a trauma expert who's also a D&D person. And so he talked through the different classes as ways that that people can show up. And they're not all frontline roles. Like he talked about monks, for example, as being people who know how to put their bodies on the line in different ways. And he encouraged people who align with monks to teach self-defense classes, to like make content and support people in communities and teaching classes and stuff, teaching people how to throw a punch safely, for example, teaching people how to use their physical energy in really effective ways. And he went through all the D&D classes. So if
Yeah.
you're that kind of
And
nerd,
like
hello.
and
It was
like how
really cool.
clerics being like the people who are they're not doing the defensive, they're doing the nurturing and the recovery and the
Mhm.
restoration, and like in the way that people who are, whether you're a medical professional, a mental health professional like B is in school for,
Mhm.
a spiritual practitioner, like all of the ways in which that healing, recovery and care is also such an essential part of it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I appreciate that he's also pretty realistic about it. Like he got to bards and he was like, influencers are not doing resistance work. Like that's not what we're talking about here. He's like, here's what it actually looks like to be a bard as resistance work. Here are the different ways that this can look. Here are the
Audrey
different kinds of,
Lorde, Toni
yeah, it's like
Morrison,
connecting
like
dots, storytelling, like making sure that the information that goes out is accurate, like, you know, weaving things together in greater context, providing inspiration. It's just, it's a really cool framework if
yeah.
D&D is something that you're into and you're trying to figure out your role. Yeah, I thought it was really neat.
This is also three coded.
Yeah. But the like just try something is so three coded. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like just say the thing or try the thing and see what happens. It's like that first beautiful messy effort. It's not going
Mhm.
to be perfect, but you learn from the trying.
Yeah. Should we call Drin?
Let's
Let's
call
go,
Jen.
Jen.
Okay. So here we're just going to go over little buckets of life, little
Little.
finance, home, love, health, and looking through our modalities. So for finance, which is up first, loosen up might not be the phrase for our wallets this month. So really with three, watch out for impulsive spending. With two, watch out for emotional spending. But what really, for practical advice, focus in on the experience that you want to have. So it's less about how much something costs or whatever, and it's more like what is the thing that you are exchanging your money for? Are you
Mhm.
able to enjoy it? And the only way that you're going to know is through the Know Thyself directive. That is the overall directive of a 10-1 year. So we are thinking about what we are purchasing or how we are investing our money or where we are on that scale. But three is a mental number. It's not as lofty as this feels. You could also just be having a conversation around money, an expression of newfound needs or boundaries. But I could see messy, impulsive spending coming for us all this month.
Once again, the astrology and the numbers say the same thing. So we already talked about this in the general forecast, but Mercury stations retrograde on February 26th in Pisces. So this is not a great time for making big financial purchases or investments, and especially since in a water sign and all of our Mercury retrogrades in 2026 are in water signs, that can indicate particularly emotional spending, which like emotional spending on a candy bar at the grocery store aisle, like great, beautiful, treat yourself.
You deserve.
But but like emotional spending that's like I'm gonna put a whole vacation on my credit card. I-
Yeah. I
Yeah.
pulled the moon. So, yeah, everything they said. Like I wrote something down, but who cares? Like I think basically there's a lot of ways to interpret the moon, but really I feel like it's what you both are saying already. It's like there is fear and imagination. There is the subconscious. There's things that can't be seen. Just slow down, pay attention, and be realistic. The potential for emotional and impulsive spending is definitely there. And also that feeling of like disconnection from the present, living in the fantasy, living in the dream, not really being anchored. So just, yeah, take some time to consider any big purchases and don't get swept away by things that feel like they could be too good to be true.
The moon, for all of you Rebus fans out there, the
Yeah.
moon is also the next issue of the Rebus.
So
We talked
excited.
to Hannah Levy a couple months ago about the Devil issue,
Mhm.
and I believe submissions are open until February 17th.
I think
That
that's right.
Ooh.
Yeah. Christopher
Yeah.
Marmolejo is the guest editor, and their work is absolutely fucking brilliant. If you've not read Red Tarot, get yourself a copy immediately. It is extraordinarily beautiful and useful.
Cool.
Yeah, their work is really
yeah,
amazing.
We will link all the
Yes.
Rebus things in the show notes if you're curious.
Totally. Okay, for February and home, I think 2 and 3 are kind of funky numbers for home, and they do feel funky to me this month, especially for those who are in transition. In January, we talked about maybe this would bring, if you were looking for a new living situation, this would bring you into relationship with somebody who could help you out with that, is kind of what we talked about. And so 2, again, is more of a silent number, where 3 is a loud mouth. So if you're finding yourself in any kind of negotiations this month when it comes to home, really discern when it is time to speak and when it is time to zip your lips and do not say anything. And this, on a flip side, this has big kind of game night energy, this idea of 2 and
Cute.
3. So maybe this month you'd like to host something with your beloveds. There's a new season of Traitors out. Dorinda Medley has not been murdered yet.
We love that for her.
I
We
know, we
are
love her.
loving Traitors. Oh my God, next Patreon episode, Traitors
Yeah, let's
combo.
talk about
Traitors.
traders.
We
Fuck
have
yeah.
to.
And the
There's actually
astrology.
so much to talk
There's
about.
so much to talk about.
So the Traitors is happening. The Winter Olympics are going to
Oh my
start
gosh.
in February.
Jesus Christ.
They are in
What?
February.
Forgot.
Don't worry, I'm into hockey now. I have not forgotten. Um, and
God.
so there are lots of opportunities, basically.
How are
to
we
host
having the
and hang
Olympics?
out.
I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
I said, how are we having the Olympics? What the fuck?
I know. The worst part is then Stacy said to my wife, for anybody who doesn't know, my wife's name is Stacy. Stacy looked at me and said, and then the next ones are here in LA.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I went, oh, no.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah.
Allegedly, right.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, there are Winter Olympics in 2026. They are going to be in February. So tons of opportunities to host, to hang out, like to gather. Feels very 2-3.
Yeah, the back half of the month, astrologically speaking, is like chaos, as discussed. But there is still this undercurrent watery vibe. Venus will be in Pisces. Pisces season arrives on February 18th, the day after the Aquarius eclipse. So like there's this way in which those spaces and also people where we can relax and find softness and intimacy are very much a soft place to fall this month. Pisces season this year is also being ruled by Jupiter, which is so comfort and security and protecting your people oriented in Cancer. This is really beautiful energy for staying in, again, if you're someone who can, or what have you, for getting cozy, watching heated rivalry again, having wine Zoom dates with your long distance bestie, as I will be doing. Also for embracing, again, as already stated, caregiving as resistance, making food deliveries, cooking meals, cleaning people's houses, taking in pets, that kind of thing. So
Beautiful. I pulled the Three of Cups. So again, I could say nothing, but we have
the
three.
vibes
We
are
have
vibing.
water.
Yeah.
I know the cards were like, yeah, more of this, please. So yeah, definitely a month where getting cozy with your beloveds. We're hosting. We're making your home a space where people feel like they belong and allowing yourself to extend and receive care. These are all big themes. I also just wanted to say, I think that there is something here about spending time sharing emotions and being intentional about having emotional experiences with the people that you trust. This can look like celebration and laughter and play. I love the game night suggestion. That feels really in line with all of this.
We have a murder mystery party this month,
We have a murder mystery party. I know. Like just true, and we're playing so much D&D, like lots of play. We host, so it's quite literal for us. But also thinking about like my grief container and intentionally creating spaces where people can witness your grief, your pain, your sorrow, being vulnerable, allowing things to spill out, even if they're not beautiful or refined, but they are really real, right? You are not alone. And I think the Three of Cups is big. We are stronger together. We can carry things together kind of energy. So consider ways that your home could offer privacy or places for intentional communal care and connection this month.
I love that. Yeah, everyone come over.
Yeah, everyone come over, hang out, wear your cozy clothes and cry.
We love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's very funny because now I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you to go out for love.
Go out for love, stay in for other things.
Yeah, right. We talked about experiences with money and humor, and now we're going to put those together. So February, again, 2-month overall 3 energy. So expression of feelings is definitely highlighted again, whether that is telling somebody new that you're interested in them or having a long overdue conversation with a friend, a colleague, a romantic partner. Again, these are kind of all of our relationships are under this emotional expression energy. But this is where I tell you to go out. Date-wise, if you're looking to have some experiences, try live ones, which is very Three of Cups. Like, I know that's not our love card, but like find ways to be in community with people, even on dates. So this is comedy shows, live theater, art galleries, talks, workshops, classes, something that will both entertain you, but also spark conversation. So that's back to that humor. Like so many times we're able to receive cultural information from art or comedy because it's delivered to us in a way that then sparks us to think about it and chat. So it's that kind of energy, like going to see a play and then finding a bar and talking about it afterwards is like the date vibe for February.
I love it. The elephant in the room is Valentine's Day, and it is a saint's day. Like we all know that there is no inherent astrological significance to Valentine's Day. But I do want to call out, if you are a Valentine's Day person, it's not especially romantic this year. Like it's always during Aquarius season, which is just fucking hilarious. But this year we have a waning Capricorn moon, so. Like, if you and your beloved feel connected when you do chores together or house stuff, or you want to like go pick out furniture, or renovation stuff at Home Depot, like if you really take delight and joy in the togetherness of practical action, Valentine's Day could be lovely. But if you want to like go on a romantic date and stare into each other's eyes, that's not the vibe. If you do want to go on a romantic date and stare into each other's eyes, the day I would suggest is February 22nd. Venus in Pisces is trine Jupiter in Cancer, so we've got both of the greater benefics in their exaltation. Impeccable vibes for connecting with people you love and developing intimacy. It is eclipse season, but we still do have a waxing Taurus moon, so the moon is also exalted, so it's a very good dinner, like, good vibes with your beloveds. Also, if you're like, I'm not really romantically oriented, this is also like really good dinner party vibes, like intentionally curated group of people, like, Priya Parker's, what the fuck is it called?
Art of Gathering.
The Art of Gathering. I'm like, this book changed my life. But Priya Parker's The Art of Gathering, like, that's the real vibe astrologically. Yeah.
Okay, it's also 222.
Cute. Yeah.
February 22nd.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which I love. And so 222 is 6. So that's your lovers, that's your nurturers, that's your relationships. And then 3 being the overall thing, it makes me think of that 36 questions to fall in love, or Esther Perel just put out a game that's like about vulnerability and storytelling. I mean, I guess it's been out for a while now, but I've had cancer, so we haven't been gathering to play that game. But That's
I
kind of
missed it. I
Lore
had to
drop.
get
If this
there.
is someone's first episode, that was a hell of a lore drop. Just like,
oh
still
yeah.
in there.
Yeah. Listen to our past episodes or
Yeah,
come
yeah,
back and
yeah,
hear
yeah.
me
Catch up.
evolve throughout the year of 2025.
Including that one episode we recorded when you were in the hospital.
Oof,
Yup.
you don't get the video of that though. You can just
Yeah,
hear
that's audio only.
the heart monitor beeping in the background. No, I'm just kidding. That's really rough. That's my humor. There's my humor
Yeah.
coming through. Practical advice. No, but anyway, 222. Cool
Cute.
name.
So
I
cute.
love it.
So cute. Well, to continue the theme of the cards just loudly reinforcing what you both have said, I pulled the Hanged one, which is cute because it actually is the 12-3 card of
Yeah.
the tarot. It's the 12th archetype. So the main thing around here that I'm thinking around love is adjust your perspectives and try to look at things through new eyes. This could be through the use of humor. This could be through the use of gathering in new places or trying new things. So there could be space here this month for adjustment, curiosity, reconsidering, all within the spectrum of love and relationships. I also was thinking a lot about listening, actually, given that we're talking about so many kinds of love. I think sometimes letting the people who truly know and love us share what they observe about us this month, share, how they see us or, how they're proud of us or just the different ways that people can express love when they know us really well, and actually sitting with what they have to offer. I think that could be a really sweet way to engage with this energy this month. Sometimes slowing down and paying attention can really shift our thinking. The other way this card could show up is just to have some kinky sex and have a great time. So,
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Live
We
your
are
life.
a
Have a good time.
pro bondage podcast.
Oh yeah, tie each other
and
up on 222.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
what you were saying though, Meg, to remind literally about and listening to each other. I'm like, oh, Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Quite literally that's such yeah. Wow. I feel like we've talked about this before. Usually two of us are on a wavelength and then the third person is kind of providing a counter and we kind of change roles of who that is. But I feel like this month it is all so fucking aligned.
Some months we're all just locked in.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
In some ways, that's more straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Great.
different ways of engaging with the same kind of energy.
Yeah.
February's weather, loud and straightforward.
Yeah. You love to see it, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the directive is loosen up and go for broke and protect, schedule your peace, then yes, we need straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm about to contradict everything we've just said.
100% same.
I literally wrote for health in February. This month has the vibe of a couple steps forward, a couple steps back. So, but this isn't so much what we're talking about of going at it one way and then having another one come in and be actually try the opposite. It really is more of an undulating rhythm of kind of effort and recovery. So really be sure to feel into your own cycles and make sure that you're not pushing yourself too hard, whatever that means for your health. But like Meg just talked about, this 12-3 energy may have us hanging out in some kind of liminal space health-wise. So this could mean not knowing what's going on with you, not having a name for it. That's very lived experience for me. So if that's where you are, I am with you. This could also be literally waiting to see a provider. You can't get an appointment in February, and so you need to get one in March. This could be waiting for a chronic flare to end, right? It's kind of you're here, something's possible, but it needs gentleness, comfort, acceptance. This is where humor might come in. All your friends this month.
Yeah, basically same for the astrology of health. Eclipse season can be really energetically volatile, very much that one step forward, two steps back kind of vibe, especially if you are someone who's either you have your sun or moon or ascendant being closely impacted by one of the eclipses. That is especially because those are really the areas of the chart that most have to do with the body and physical health. So all of that, if you're one of those people, make sure you're taking it easy. But yeah, for all of us, just be extra aware, extra tuned in to how your body's feeling. If something feels off, get it checked out. Similar to what Bee said, be mindful that Mercury retrograde arrives at the end of the month, and that can make things like getting in to see your doctor just annoying and delayed. So just overall make sure you're hydrating, make sure you're resting, schedule your peace.
That's the name of the episode, honestly, is schedule your peace.
Yes.
Yeah. And I pulled the Five of Wands. So again, we're really in
Yeah.
lockstep this month. Five of Wands can be progress, but it's kind of painful. It can also be the kind of flailing where we feel like we're having friction and there could be something that we're moving towards, but we maybe don't exactly know where we're going. So from a health perspective, this could be kind of frustrating, but it also could represent the turning of an energetic corner that just takes longer than we wish it did. So my best advice is everything that Jeanna and Bea have already shared, but really focus on, if you can, one thing at a time. And if it feels like you have a bunch of things that are connected, try not to overschedule, try to be patient if scheduling is complicated. And yeah, don't overexert yourself in the pursuit of answers. Rest when you can, pace yourself. And if you need help, make sure that you not only ask for help from people who can care for you, but actually let yourself receive that help when it is provided. Yeah.
Right. February 2026. Nobody's seeing a doctor.
We're all having dinner parties. We're playing at home, and nobody's
And we're
seeing a
on
doctor, apparently.
wait lists at the specialists. Yeah.
Yeah, that is that. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
that is the vibe.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I pretty much advised all of my year ahead clients. I was like, if you're trying to like get start, like whatever it is,
Yeah.
creatively, professionally, personally, like either hit the ground running in January or you're probably going to be waiting till the end of March, early April, because like mid-February to mid-March, like eclipse season, Mercury retrograde, the vibes are just very like, I think what B said, and it was specifically around health, but it was very like one step forward, two steps, like the undulating rhythm, I think is a really beautiful way to articulate like the vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question about that timing. So
Mm.
I does would you say that the time between now and the end, well, now meaning February and the end of March, early April, while it's not good for starting new things, would be, especially with the Mercury retrograde, like fertile for
Oh,
revisiting unfinished?
so fertile for revision. And I'm going to get into that a lot more in my newsletter because my newsletter is specifically for like artists and writers.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mercury retrograde, that's the thing. Like very trickster energy can make travel difficult, can make activism really effective in terms of like disruption.
Yeah.
Um, Mercury retrograde is fucking great for writers and artists because it's like revision, rethinking, restructuring part of the book. Like, so beautiful. Also, like, if you want to be redoing any part of your house, like, I mean, maybe don't get your electrical rewired, but like anything else, like if you're wanting to like redecorate or zhuzh up your office, like,
Mhm.
yeah, fuck yeah, it's really nice for that. And also, I think, frankly, like in water signs this year, it's going to be like Mercury retrogrades are going to be really nice for like reconnecting with friends. Like, as much as it
Mhm.
can be the like, don't text your ex, like that kind of like classic advice, I think it's very sweet for like things that Meg was saying around like intentionally listening and caregiving with
Mhm.
people and just like, yeah, like the vibes are really intimate, and I do like that.
That's really lovely.
Yeah. Again, no transit is pure one thing or another
Yeah.
ever. Like good for some things, not so great for other things. You know, it
Yeah.
just depends what you're wanting to get out of it and where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's actually a perfect place to land here with
Mhm.
what we talked about in our conversation around ethical
Mhm.
predictions, and then also really volatile. Now, here we are talking about a month that could be messy and
Mhm.
volatile, and that could look a bunch of different ways. It's like, do not forget that you have agency. You
Yeah.
have personal agency. And if
Mhm.
there's anything that we
Yeah.
can do to empower you, to make choices for yourself, to stay with the practices and the people that keep you grounded and
Yes.
centered and able to make those decisions from a peaceful, centered place, like that is definitely the vibe, especially in a wheel year where you need to
Yeah.
like stay in the center so you're not getting spun around.
Yeah.
Yeah. And where so many of the themes are like, there are some things you can control and some things that are simply bigger than you. Like you have to figure out how you can land in that rhythm and not get swept up in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, shake it
Beautiful.
out this month, everyone.
Take it out. Schedule your piece.
Yes, I know. No, none of us really talked about that in health or in whatever, but like whatever way
Yeah.
you can move emotions through the body this
Yes.
month, I think
Also,
is,
Like Pisces season, Mercury retrograde in Pisces, that's dance. That's dance.
Hmm.
oh,
That's
Love
like
that.
singing and also like but like dance especially stuff. I mean, belly dancing is what I think of because that's what I like, but like stuff that's really rhythmic and that just like lets you yeah, I love that call out beat. That's yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's actually making me think the grief thing that I did, the training at the end of every session and what they suggest we do as well, like when moving through the 10 steps to like kind of process and work with grief. We would end every session, they would put on a song and all of us would dance. Sometimes people kept their cameras on and sometimes people kept them off, but like it's such an effective way because it doesn't matter what you look like, it doesn't matter how you're moving, but like the act of taking 2, 3, 4 minutes to just move your body in whatever way feels good, it is so good for getting emotion through the body and just like loosening up, shaking things out, giving things a way to express themselves in a Three of Cups way. So I love that.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
cute. Well, we'll be back mid-month. We
Mhm.
don't know with what yet, but we'll
No,
figure it
we'll
A
out.
talk about some.
conversation of some kind. Who
Yeah,
knows?
we'll chat. We'll chat mid-month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as always, you can find us online. We are callyourcoven@gmail.com if you want to reach out directly. We are on Instagram and YouTube at Call Your Coven. You can leave a comment there. You can also, of course, find us on Patreon at Call Your Coven. We do have that $5 supportive tier. You will have unhinged heated rivalry thoughts soon. And yeah, anything else other than that?
We're gonna make it.
We're gonna
I'm
make
gonna
it.
make
Schedule
it.
your
We're gonna
pee.
make it, and we have each other, and honestly, that's a hell of a lot to have.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amen.
yeah.
Cool. We love you.
Love y'all.